Hi, and welcome to the Project 2 overview. I apologize for my voice. It has been absolutely crazy. So I'm really sorry that it sounds so nuts. I have no idea why it's being so weird, but I sound a little bit, like that lady from Monsters, Inc. But I wanted to go over some of the details of Project 2 because this is a big project. And as I go over this, some of the dates might not apply to your specific class, so make sure you look at the dates on your specific prompt. This is a prompt I'm doing for a hybrid class, so your dates may differ if you're online or if you're watching this in a different quarter. So make sure that you check your own due dates on this. The learning outcomes for this project, which you're writing to design and instruct, and this is a fairly big project, but we're going to walk through it. You need to understand how visual design impacts the meaning of a written document. I want you to understand the importance of visuals and clean design to support the narrative and instructions. I want you to find ways to write effective ethical instructions. I want you to figure out how to choose a logical pattern for a set of instructions. The overview for this, a valuable communication skill you will often draw upon in workplace writing is to design documents and deliverables that highlight valuable information and to instruct in a concise, complete, and informative manner. For this project deliverable, you will produce 5 separate components. And this is a little bit different in how they're structured. Your written deliverables will be all submitted in one document, but there's 4 pieces in that written deliverable, and then you're going to have a video deliverable. So in the written deliverable, you're going to have an analysis of a poorly designed document, an analysis of a poorly written set of instructions. You're going to write your own set of instructions for one small procedure of a web tool that you use that incorporates clean, effective design, Facebook, Gmail, Weebly, your choice. You're going to have a screencast video overview of your instructions, and you're going to have a cover memo that explains your choices in both design and instruction. We're going to go over each of these pieces, so I don't want you to panic if you're looking at this and you're like, what? Because that's normal. I want to make sure that you know that we're going through that. So some details. The audience for the design analysis, instructions analysis, and your instructions, and your both written instructions and the video instructions, it's your choice, but it must be a non-specialized audience, meaning that these are not experts that you're writing these instructions and documents to. These are people who may have a working knowledge of technology, but they're not specialists in any way. The audience for the memo that you're going to do is me. So you have 2 separate audiences here that you need to keep in mind. The format for your written deliverables, use one document file for all 4 written components of the project deliverable. Each component should start on a new page and have a clear heading. Use the elements of clean and effective design. You can see those over in the modules. Sorry, I'm going to just kind of scooch this over so you can see it. In the modules in week 2, that elements of clean design lecture. Take a look at that and make sure that you go through it. That's really important to have. Switching back here. The memo addressed to me should be first, followed by the design analysis on its own page, the instructions analysis, and the updated instructions. Single space your text with an additional line of white space between paragraphs. Use headings and wrap the text around any visuals you use. You're also going to have a video deliverable. Your video should be a screencast how-to walkthrough of your instructions. I suggest using simple screencasting applications such as Screencast-O-Matic, and I'll show you more details on all of this in a minute. I have lots of stuff to help you do this. Creating the 4 written components of the project deliverable. Writing the memo, that first page. I am the audience for the memo. Use elements of good, clean design as you write this memo. As your professor, I want to know the following. So for each of these things, you're going to have its own specific section. A design analysis. On the design analysis portion, why did you choose the elements you did and what did you learn? For the instructions analysis, why did you choose the elements or aspects you did and what did you learn? For the instructions, and this means both the written instructions and your screencast. Who's your audience? What is your purpose? Why did you choose the tool that you chose? What elements of design did you incorporate and why? And what difficulties did you discover? Again, ignore this due date. It probably doesn't apply to you, although it might. Writing the design analysis. So you're going to have your memo first, and you're going to have this design analysis. Use the elements of clean design shown in the lecture and in chapter 5 of your books to analyze the poorly designed document you selected. So you're going to select a poorly designed document. It can be a letter, it can be a memo, it can be a web page that is poorly designed. A document can mean many different things here. It cannot be a video. I want it to be a document of some kind. That can be a web page. Concentrate on one element at a time, like size, headings, white space, consistency, etc., those elements of clean design, and explain how and why that element is handled in that document, and how or why that is a good or poor design choice. For each element, suggest the ways the design can be made cleaner and more user-friendly. And I'll show you examples of this shortly. Writing the instructions analysis. But let me go back here. Basically what you're doing here is you're looking at a document, written or web-based, that someone else has produced, and you are going to analyze it. You're breaking it down for those elements of clean design, and you're breaking it down and explaining how and why these design choices make it good or bad. Writing the instructions analysis. You are going to choose a set of poorly written instructions that you did not write. These are instructions that you find elsewhere. And you're going to use the check, and I want this to be one page. This should be about a page. Use a checklist for writing instructions and the information in chapter 10 and in the lectures to analyze poorly written instructions. Be sure to keep your audience in mind. Again, concentrate on one element or aspect at a time, like audience, structure, situation, intended use, safety issues, ethical considerations, conciseness, etc., and explain how and why that element is handled this way in this set of instructions. For each element or aspect, suggest the ways the instructions can be made more appropriate for the audience and situation. So, really, choose wisely. Choose a horrible set of instructions and go through each element here and explain how and why those aren't working. What could they do better? I'm so sorry. And writing your instructions. You are going to write a set of original instructions from scratch. You are not to copy and paste. You are not to do anything like that. You are writing a set of instructions from scratch. Select a web tool such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Gmail, Weebly, the Canvas login page, something like that. Anything is fine as long as I, your instructor, and your classmates can access it easily to see if your instructions work. Select one small, and I'm serious, the smaller the better, I promise, procedure. For example, logging into Gmail or setting up a new account in Facebook, something small, and write a set of instructions for it. Be sure to use actionable verbs. Use the information from the lectures and from chapter 10 of your book to formulate your instructions, keeping elements of clean, good design in mind. Keep in mind, this will be the same thing you use for your screencast, so it should be video instruction friendly. You should be able to do a screencast of these instructions as well. And then you're going to create a screencast. But remember, all 4 of these elements go into one document that you're going to submit. And then you're also going to do a video screencast. Your audience for the screencast is an audience of mixed technical levels. Your screencast should be no more than 10 minutes long. And for assistance in getting started, please view the screencasting overview. This is right here hanging out for you. We'll look at it in a minute. But your final draft with all 5 components is due by 11:59 on whatever your due date is. Please submit written elements as a single PDF, and please submit your URL for the screencast in the submission comment box. You can check out the rubric here. It has very specific elements for what you're going to be graded on. You can see the points breakdown. But as far as the screencast, check this out because it is important. Sorry, I'm trying to scooch this over really quickly. It has 15 slides, and it tells you what screencasts are, so make sure you go through that. It tells you when you're going to be using screencasts internally, externally. And it tells you the normal process of creating a screencast. It is very specific. This is a extended type of process, but you're only going to do one part of this process. You're going to plan a script, you're going to record your audio, and you're going to share the URL on Canvas. That's what you're doing for your screencast. You're going to need a microphone. It is fine for this to use your computer's built-in mic. If you need to purchase a mic, buy something very inexpensive. I have some you can borrow as well. And there are 5 steps to this screencast. You need to choose a screencasting tool. You need to choose the size of your screen. I'm doing a screencast right now. You can see I chose the size of my screen kind of poorly. You're going to want to make yours a little bit more professional looking. You're going to write a script, practice the script, record your screencast. So step 1, choose a tool. I recommend Screencast-O-Matic or Jang. I personally use Screencast-O-Matic. It has a 15-minute limit. Jing is great too. And I've included links to all this stuff that I'll show you shortly where those are. Choose your screen size. Read over this carefully. Open the screen you'll be working with and adjust the browser window. And this just basically tells you how to adjust your screen size. Make a short recording and test it out. Step 3, write a script. Your script for the screencast, you want to have an opening, you want to have your instructions, and you're going to be using your written instructions as a template, but you're going to adapt them for a video overview, and you're also going to have a conclusion. Make sure that you go through this more carefully. I'm rushing through this. I'm going through it quickly, giving you an overview. You need to read all of these steps quite carefully. You're going to practice and mark the script. Make sure you do a test, play it back. You should say, I'm sorry, Project 2 tools. I'll change that. The idea here is not to develop a professional broadcasting style, but to clearly articulate what you are saying and to use effective vocal expression. And then record your screencast. So that's the overview of the screencast, and that's what I want you to do. Now, I have lots of support and help here for you over in the modules. There is a module. It is the Project 2. If you go down, you can see it. Down. Examples and helpful support tools. And there are lots of things here just waiting for you to use them. There is a Project 2 document template, and this is just for the written parts of your document. And when you click on this, it'll bring you over to the screen, and it'll bring up this sample. And this is a sample. It's a template. It's actually not a sample. Whoops, it's a template. And it tells you the different parts. The first page of your written document is going to be this memo. You're going to have your information here. And the purpose of this memo is to give English 335 students a tiny glimpse into the format of the Project 2 memo report, which I know they're all ridiculously excited about. This memo contains blah, 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 blah. And so you're going to have a section about design analysis. Why did you choose the elements you did and what did you learn? Your instructions analysis. Why did you choose the elements, aspects you did and what did you learn? Your instructions. Who is your audience? What is your purpose? Why did you choose that tool that you did, that web tool? What elements of design did you incorporate and why? What difficulties did you discover? And you might want to break this down into your written instructions and your screencast instructions. That's what I would do. I highly recommend you do that. And then I want you to go over your triumphs and your difficulties. And if you go down, and I have some tips here. Please ignore this date. We'll be doing some peer reviews. It tells you about the length. The length for this memo section is about 1 full page, single space, discussing your triumphs, difficulties, and application. Excuse me. In concise and succinct detail, we'll get you to this length with no issues. Your design analysis. Again, I can't say this enough. Ignore this date here. Use the date for yours. Your date will depend. The design analysis. And this has tips and tricks. The text of your design analysis will go here and should be about 1 full page. As you can see, it starts on its own fresh page. And it gives you the requirements of what the design analysis needs. And then you need to have an instructions analysis. You're going to find a horrible set of instructions and analyze it. It gives you some tips and tricks here. And it's going to have your original set of instructions. I'd like it to be one page. I want you to keep the elements of design here. I want you to use grid structure and headings and all that good stuff. So you can definitely use this as a template. You can download it. It's a Word doc. And you can use this as a template, but you need to fill it in with your own fantastic information. Going back to the modules, the week 2 help, there's an A paper sample. This is not perfect, but it'll give you a pretty good idea of what works here. Little panda on the bike. That always kind of cracks me up. And it shows you what this person did. So you can see, what they did for each section. Here, the design analysis is on a poorly designed document or web page. They chose a poorly written resume. Instructions analysis, you're choosing someone else's instructions, a horrible set of instructions, and you're analyzing it. And then instructions on a web tool. And so this, you can see these are written instructions. It has a purpose, it has what is Canvas, prerequisites, step-by-step instructions, there are headings. I would do this a little bit differently. There are, I would have the pictures in line with the text so that we use grid structure, but this is pretty good. There are things I would suggest to make things stronger, but just, this is pretty good. This is an A paper. It's not a 4.0, but this is a really good paper. I also have a sample of a not so great paper. It's not bad. It's a C paper, so it's average. It fulfills requirements. It certainly doesn't go above and beyond. Little panda on the bike. And so you can see this, what I learned. If you go over this, you'll see that it's quite rushed through. And whereas the first example was very detailed and focused on several elements for this design analysis. First of all, you don't even know that this is the design analysis. You want to have a title. But this one just isn't as detailed as it could and should be. Same with this instructions analysis, not as detailed as it could or should be. Now, these instructions, this is creating a Gmail account. It's missing some essential parts of writing instructions, and it's not as detailed, organized, complete as it needs to be. It's not bad. It's not failing. This could definitely be better. So there's some examples there for you. Some other things I have for you in the modules are going down. I don't know why. Oh, it's just slow right now. I have the sample papers, and then I have screencasting software and tutorials. So I have that screencasting tutorial overview that I just showed you. If you click on this, it'll take you over to the screencasting instructions that we just looked at. I have a link to Screencast-O-Matic, which is one of the screencasting programs I recommend, and then a list of tutorials for Screencast-O-Matic. And then Jing, one of the software programs I recommend, and a list of Jing tutorials for you. This is a complex project that I'm asking you to do. It has several pieces, but hopefully after looking at the template, the sample papers, having this video overview of the prompt and all those things, you have a better idea of what it is you're supposed to do. But if you have any questions, if you want additional video tutorials of any part of this, please do not hesitate to let me know. I think that's it for today, and I hope that you are having a fantastic week.